Hi, I'm Tim Moore. You know, we saw Ice Team Pro Ross Robertson in a recent video talking about using 100% silicone on these movable parts, the poles that slide in and out of each other. That's a must-do for me as well, to use silicone and not an all-purpose lubricant like WD-40. But one place I do use WD-40, especially when I'm assembling one of my shelters like this X2 here, is on any of the bolts. Any screws, bolts, anything exposed metal, anything that's going to be rubbing up against each other that's metal, even painted metal. Put just a little squirt of WD-40 on there and wipe it off so you don't get WD-40 all over everything. And also in any movable parts, I'll put a little squirt in there as well. You could even use the silicone in there too, but you want to be careful when you're doing plastic on metal, things like that. But a little squirt of WD-40, and it's going to do two things for you. It's going to make movable parts move a little easier, especially when you get out there in the cold. It's also going to help protect against rust. See, once you get out there and you start moving these shelters around on the ice, especially these bigger ones like this X2 Thermal, it's going to be a lot of vibration towing them around out there on the ice. Things like this are going to rub against each other, and it's going to create friction in there and wear. And you're going to want a little protection when that starts to happen against rust. Rust is going to be, could cause a failure later on down the road if you don't take care of these shelters. So you want to just a little squirt, any all-purpose lubricant. I use WD-40 on any of these things. One other tip that I want to mention is a lot of people have a tendency to tighten these down, these poles that turn like this. They tighten them down too much and they squeeze this bracket against these too tightly, and it creates too much stress on the poles, and they don't move properly, and they won't operate properly when you get out there on the ice. It'll still work, but it's going to cause you problems and make things more difficult than it has to be. So a couple of things: don't over tighten those bolts, and just a little tiny squirt of WD-40 on some of those exposed bolts and screws. Going to make things a lot easier when you get out there on the ice.